Hey Reefers, welcome back to the channel. My name's Lee. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, or give me any comments that you feel that you want to address that I'm wrong. That's fine. I like any sort of criticism on this channel. We're all learning here, and this is going to be on heating and cooling your reef tank during those hot times or cold times. You just want to get it right the first time, and I'm here to give you some tips and tricks that you may not be aware of. So currently I'm in the UK, obviously is where I live, and usually we wouldn't have any of these kind of issues with heating or cooling. Usually I have my windows open all year round, good for the tank for pH, which I don't really test for, but there we go. I have the windows open. We're sitting currently normally at between 20 and 21 Celsius. How do I know that? I have a thermometer, a digital one, inside the flat above the tank, and this will be able to be connected via Wi-Fi, and I can just see it visually, which I'll show you now. Currently we are sitting at 26 Celsius, which is quite warm for the UK in this period of July. We have been hitting 30 to 31, and next week we could be hitting 38, which will be crazy. The tank is sitting at 78.8, which is perfect. That's where I like to be. 79 is the max. There, it keeps clicking forward a little bit. But once we start going over 79 and above towards 80 is where pretty much my tank will just melt down and I'll lose livestock. I know this because this happened 2 years ago. I lost all of about 7 pieces of coral, which were really expensive hammer corals, elegance coral. It was quite devastating. The fish luckily survived that temperature swing, but didn't do me any favors. So today we're just talking about redundancy and kind of things that you can have to keep your tank running well. So I would advise getting a digital thermometer. You can use maybe something else, something you can connect to like a Wi-Fi. This product here, you can see the name. I can buy this from Amazon. It's really good, just takes batteries, and you can connect via Wi-Fi. I can see the temperature all the time, and then obviously I know what's going on inside the flat, what temperature the flat is. That's the key number one. The other one would be to have a like a temperature controller, but this is a digital display of what your tank is visually, so you can see it all the time. This is hardwired in as a plug from Thermal View. I've talked about this before. Reef Factory is the actual brand. Thermal View is the product, and this is just the display. I think it's around 80 to 100 pounds. It's quite expensive just for a display, but it gives me peace of mind. It's never going to run out of batteries, and I can connect via the app, and I can see the temperature. It will give me an alert via text, email, I believe, and I get a alarm inside. I can turn on and off, but have an alarm when the temperature drops too low or goes too high. So that's another great thing that I'm using to keep my heat kind of checked. Obviously I'm using LED lights, the Red Sea 90s. These are quite low consumption of heat, not like you would get bulbs, which will give out a lot more heat. So these are great as well. My heater is a TMC. I think it's a Thermal View. It's a 300 watt, just about rated for this tank, which is 260 liters. So it's not really going to cook the tank. It's in the rear compartment here, because even if the water drains down into the sump, it's not exposed at all, which means there's no signs of this going to be burning out. If the return pump fails, the heat from this will still be circulating in the back of the chamber and through the main tank. So that's why it's in here, and it fits nicely. These probes here are all going down. They are zip tied here, so there's no way, in case I'm taking cables out, that I can pull one of these out, and then that is exposed to my controller, to my Thermal View, and then that will throw off the temperature and could cause all kinds of problems with the heater staying on to try and reach the temperature, or just shutting off. So I weigh these down with a piece of plastic in here. It's tied around, and this is zip tied on just to prevent those cables ever coming out the back of the tank. The temperature of the tank is what I want to keep an eye on. I'm not bothered about the sump temperature. That keeps the right temperature. So always keep your probes in the rear of a tank if you can, more than the sump. Personally, it's a better option. Underneath the tank, to control your temperature, you would need a temperature controller. Again, I've touched ground on this before. You can get this from Amazon. They do an Inkbird. This will basically turn your heater on at a certain temperature. So 78 is where the heater will click on, and then it will click off at 79, and then that's where it stays. Now the fan, the cooling part, will only come on, which is the green light at the bottom here. You can't see it because it's not on at the moment, the cooling, when it gets to 80, which is a little bit high, but there's a 1 degree difference, and that's just how it works with this temperature controller. I wish it would come on at 79.5, but then I would have to tune my heating downwards in order to have that happen, and most of the time that's just not convenient for me. Just get the light back on. We're using a fan here just for cooling evaporation. So the way this will work, and this works better inside the sump personally than the top of the tank. Now, if it's hot inside the room and you're just blowing that warm air across the top of the tank, yes, it's going to cool evaporation, but I'm going to hear the fan on top of the tank more than I will inside the sump as well, and I just want it to be quiet. So it's on the sump. As the cool air blows down, it cools this box of water down, and then controlling the temperature. And this works really well, guys. It's 6 fans. It's from All Pond Solutions in the UK. It's about £20. I'm not hitting on any other companies out there. I've bought one of these aquarium fans, the ones that are quite expensive. I think it was GHL. It was really well designed, super heavy though, and couldn't really fit it inside the sump. On top of the tank, I had to clip it to something else. It was too heavy, and it didn't really kick out as much force power as I thought it would do compared to this, which is about 10 times cheaper. So just do your research on your fans. As I said, GHL, great product and really well built, and probably to last better than this. But for £20, I can buy a bunch of these if I needed to and hook them up. It just plugs in here. It's got a switch. You just leave that on, and then when the temperature controller clicks on, it will click the fan on. Zip tied this cable here to here and up to that point. So if this was to ever get knocked or come off, it won't fall in there and fry everything. It's just going to dangle. So that's great. Just protect yourself there. The last thing about heating and cooling is to make sure that obviously all of your cables and everything are not really touching everything, and they have space to breathe. So the main units are on the front of this controller board. All the power sockets on a controller extension socket here. I change these out every couple of years, and I'm trying to get the best one I can. This is a fireproof kind of casing. They said online. The cord itself is like wrapped in a special cord. It's just to prevent anything else. And all the cables here are kind of like rolled up and breathed out so that they won't have any problems. So that's that. The last thing I want to talk about is if the fan won't keep up with the temp cooling of the tank, what you want to do is the room where your tank is, and probably the rest of the house, is close all the windows down once you get above 27 Celsius on your temperature of your room. And you can buy an aquarium chiller to put next to your tank. Now, however, you're going to have that hardwired into the system, as in plumbed. That's another thing potentially that could leak. And obviously they are quite expensive. They start around $450 up to about £1,000. It's going to be noisy inside your room unless you've got a separate room that you can put it in, and it's going to have to vent all of that air, and usually they just vent back into the room. So it's going to create warmth, it's going to cool it down, then it's going to heat up again, and it's just going to be working over power. So personally, I don't really believe in that unless you've got a room where that air can be vented outside, or a controlled space. For me, I'm in a flat and there's no room to put this anyway, so it didn't really fit in my kind of schedule. What I have got, I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to go through to here. This is a spare room at the moment. I bought an AC unit. This is this product here. Now, it was about $350, $330 on sale, and this does a great job. Basically, it's just a tube, goes to the window. It's got a slat. You push the window down, and you can control that via a plug, a Wi-Fi plug, and that will give you great cooling throughout the flat. And you could always move this next to the tank. I've done that a few times when it's reached critical levels, and that has given me great stability on keeping my tank around 79 maximum. And then in the evening, when the temperature drops to 25, 26, you can then turn that AC unit off, and that will give you a lot of help there. Guys, if there's anything else you want to ask me regarding heating and cooling, what you think I should do, just drop in the comments, like and subscribe, as I said. But yeah, this is something definitely with Coral you're going to have to watch out for, because just relying on fans alone is not going to save you in these heat times, you know, where we're getting these crazy temperatures. Currently now 26 is perfect. Still warm, but it's not crazy hot. So tank's sitting dead on 79, and it won't go above that obviously because it's 26 Celsius. So that's perfectly fine at this point. But anything above 26 is where the AC unit has to go on until the evening when it cools back down. So guys, I hope you liked this video today. I know that a lot of people talked about heating and cooling, but just be mindful of these things. They do need to be looked into, and it is really important that you keep your tank at a certain temperature, that you don't have too many swings. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.